It's getting dark early here in the Pacific Northwest, and it's time to make sure you have a few good lights on your bike. This is the Meilan X5 wireless taillight with turn signals and freaking lasers for displaying a virtual cycling lane. It's an 85 lumen bright rear light with excellent visibility and a wireless remote. And all of this sells for under $40. So in this video, we'll go over all the details, talk about what I like with this particular light, as well as what I wish were slightly different about the Meilan X5 taillight. Okay, if you happen to pick up the Meilan X5 taillight, in the box you'll see the remote, you'll see a rubber band for connecting your remote to your handlebars, you'll have a USB charging cable, two mounting options, one that connects under your seat as I'm using in this video, and one that connects to the seat post directly. There's also two rubber spacers, and of course, a user's guide in here. Now the X5 weighs in at about 117 grams, and it can be either attached to the seat post like I mentioned before, or under the seat as I have it here. And it kind of slides in and out of that little plastic mounting area, which I do think is nice because I also take this light off when I'm actually charging it. To turn it on, there's a little button that you just turn here on the side, and you hold it to turn it on. When it's on, you can press any of the buttons on the remote and it'll turn on the corresponding light mode. So at the top here, there's this laser warning lights, and I actually really love the idea of two red parallel ground laser light warnings, but in reality, they don't really work very well in daylight conditions. Really has to be quite dark for these to be able to be seen. Now, when you do use the remote, you'll see that it has a little indicator light under whichever button you've pressed, so you do know which kind of light mode you're flashing behind you or which button you've recently pressed. I actually thought that this was a really smart design. And when using the turn signals, you can either press them to turn them on and off, or you can just leave them turned on, and it'll show it turning for about a minute, and then it'll automatically turn off. And the X5 will also automatically detect if you're braking. It'll give you a little flash there. And one thing that I found very interesting, but it's something that I didn't really test, was that if you are using the Meilan Finder cycling computer along with one of their taillights, and you actually have navigation going on the cycling computer, the computer will automatically relay those turns over to the taillight, and you can display the turns right here on the light itself, which I actually think is an awesome concept. Except that I'm not a huge fan of their cycling computers. The display, in my opinion, is just a touch dim, and the operating system didn't seem very, intuitive in my opinion. But, back to the X5, I actually found the battery life of this device to be actually very, very good. I tested it for about 2.5 hours with the lights on and the lasers on, and everything seemed very solid. There's also a 1-year warranty, which I think is pretty good for a bike light like this that costs, $40. Now, my main concern with the X5 is that it does feel a little bit plasticky to me. I definitely worry about durability with this device. I haven't personally had any major drops with it or any braking issues, but I'm also biking a little bit less this time of year than I typically do. Now, I also wish that the X5 had USB-C. It charges with micro USB, and I find this little USB flap that it has, just a little bit difficult to get open. I've actually been opening it with a knife recently, which is crazy. But as I mentioned before, I really do wish the lasers were a little bit more powerful. Yeah, they work fine, when it is dark or in dim conditions, but it has to be pretty dark. And then I will say, I also found it very hard to operate this little remote with gloves on. I feel like, I was able to press all of these different buttons, but you weren't exactly sure what you were pressing with thick winter gloves on. And then, I would often hit the turn signal and it turned out that it hadn't actually turned on and off. So, a few minor concerns with the X5, nothing major. I really do think that this is a reasonable product for us to be considering. It's a very affordable product, and I love all the lighting options that you have in the remote control itself. But, either way, I hope that you guys are getting out there, swimming, biking, running, rinsing, and then repeating it all over again, and we will see you guys on the next one.